Hi, it's Vernay from Vernay and Ryan's MJJ5 YouTube channel. You've been watching me for a lot of videos and it's supposed to be Vernay and Ryan. So today for our Valentine special, I'm going to finally be introducing my wonderful husband, Mr. Ryan O'Neal. First, let me open up our little kissing booth here. So Ryan, say hi to the people.
Hi everybody.
So this is me and Ryan's first Valentine's together as a married couple. So we thought this would be cool to do this on our YouTube page and also an opportunity to introduce him. So I'm going to be interviewing him today as if he's a guest, even though he's not a guest. So let's just jump right into it. Ryan, first, welcome to your own channel.
Thank you for having me on my own channel.
So tell us who you are and how you became such a big Jackson collector.
Well, I'm Ryan O'Neal, of course, from Camden, New Jersey. And I became a Jackson collector from staying at my aunt's house as a little kid because my mom always worked and we would listen to music. She was somewhat of a music connoisseur. And she would say, you got an hour to listen to Jackson 5 and after that it's my turn. So I would listen to the Jackson 5 and I just fell in love with them from that point.
Okay, excellent. And how did you get into actually collecting?
Well, we went from one album to the next album to them being on the back of cereal box and, just picking up every piece I could find of the brothers. And it just became a hobby, a pastime, something I did for enjoyment, and I just loved it. I just loved seeing those guys on the cereal box and every picture, poster, record, etc., etc.
Did you find yourself identifying with them?
Of course, being a young, black kid from Camden, and seeing kids on a record and sounding as good as they sound, and looking somewhat like me, that was like a bonus to just enjoy the sound, the music, the choreography, the oneness of the brothers. It's unexplainable.
Oh, I love the joy. So you did a Jackson's exhibit back in 2016 that was in Wilmington, Delaware. Tell us how that happened and what that was about and what you actually did.
Well, a black school audio communication technology that was headed by Jamel and Travis was trying to figure out a way to raise some money. And a friend of mine, who also was a friend of theirs, came up with an idea to have a Michael Jackson exhibit. So the idea was given to me, and I didn't know Jamil and Travis at the time, so it was like nobody really knew I had this collection, but that's my close friends and family. So when idea was given to me, I was like, no way, absolutely not. And I was reluctant to do it because I just couldn't imagine all my items I've been collecting, excuse me, over the years being out for an exhibit that could be touched, So I reluctantly said no. And a Jamil White, I think that's his last name, he just kept saying, bro, I promise you, I won't let nobody touch it. I'll make sure that every piece is intact. We'll have all the security procedures in place. And if you really want to help these kids and you're the guy who everybody said you was, you would do it, And I went home and I thought about it. And that's when I came to the conclusion, I'll do it. But I didn't want to be there because I didn't want to see the people handling my possessions.
Right. So that was kind of how our worlds collided. Mm-hmm. So I remember coming out of work one day. At the time I was working for Elwin as a case manager in Delaware. And I came out and there was a postcard on my card. And it said, largest Michael Jackson and Jackson collection on the East Coast. And I was offended. How dare somebody come in my territory and think they have more Michael Jackson stuff. So my intention was to go to this event just for the sake of saying, I told you so. There's no way in the world this person has more stuff than me. I was wrong. But let's talk about how we actually end up meeting there. Well, when I first went, you actually wasn't present.
Of course.
Yeah.
It was funny because what happened was I was watching it on the news and I was at the barbershop cutting hair, and the people was like, "That's you, man, that's you." I said, "Man, I'm here cutting hair with y'all. That ain't me. It must be somebody else." And then the ironic thing about my name being Ryan O'Neal, everybody thought it was the actor. But anyway, I came back at night to make sure everything was intact. We would do a count, everything. And Jamil said, man, you got to meet this lady. She came here. She's the president of Michael Jackson fan club. So I was like, okay, all right, no, you got to meet her now. So it was like a really rush for Jamil for me to meet you. And then I think I called you because you left your number, and then you was like, come on to my house. Y'all come to my house, you got to see my collection. I was like, well, I don't think I want to come there because what would your husband think? She was like, well, I ain't got no husband. I said, what about your boyfriend? I ain't got no boyfriend. I really didn't want to go, y'all.
And I wanted to make sure he came to see my collection.
So I was like, well, you don't know me, I'm a stranger. Then she was like, well, I know Jamil. Jamil said, I'll come. So I said, what was y'all in cahoots? Anyway, but I went there, and I'm so glad I did, because when I went there, I knocked on the door, and you came to the door, and you just had that beautiful smile that you have, and you was like, come on in. And then it was like I was walking into my own home, my own little sanctuary, because she had all her items posted all over the wall. And then her spirit was so infectious that when I walked in, she was like, I didn't see us at the collection. Take this. And you ain't had one of these, and take this. And I was like, wow, I'm looking at a female me, because that's the stuff I do for Jackson fans. And from there, we just formed a relationship, a phone relationship.
Yes. And Jamil did tell him that I was the president of the Michael Jackson fan club. So let me correct. I was the chapter leader for East Coast, but everybody always says president. It's just something people always fall into. So after me and Ryan had met that night after his exhibit, we really didn't communicate for almost a whole year until he came back in 2017. Now, in that time, I had like my celebration of life that I usually have, some other Michael events, and I had been inviting him, but he would never respond. So we really didn't have any communication. Now, then when he came back in 2017 to do the exhibit the second time, what was different this time around?
Well, what was different this time around? Well, of course it was for good cause, you know what I mean? And then I got your text, but you was like, I ain't gonna bother you no more. You don't call back. So I said, the ironic thing was, to go back, I asked her, I said, what is it in your collection that you don't have that you wish you did have? And you said Stranger in Moscow.
Disc number 2 out of 3.
The Russian version. I call it the Russian version.
I was very specific.
So when she said, I'm not going to call you no more, you don't call me back, I was going through something. And and I just didn't want to be around her because she was so positive. And anyway, at that time. So I was like, I don't want to lose her friendship. She's a very special person. I felt it. So I went to her door and I knocked on it, and I held up the Michael Jackson Stranger in Moscow, the third disc, because I had 3 of them, and I gave it to her, and then we walked in, and then we had a beautiful conversation, and then from there it was just never ending.
Yeah. I was done. Because I'm not going to keep calling you if you're not interested. But when you show up with Stranger in Moscow, this number 2, then, what can I do?
I knew just what to bring.
So fast forward, once we became a thing, we ended up taking a few Michael Jackson trips together. Talk about some of those experiences for the people.
Well, you know what? Growing up in Camden, and I mean, we both were big fans, but Vernay was a more active fan as far as traveling and going to places with Michael and the brothers. And when we went, she wanted to go to Vegas. We went to Vegas, and it was my first time in Vegas. And she said, well, let's go to Neverland. I was like, just like that? Like, when you're young and you love the brothers and the Michael, you think they live on the moon. And they was like, no, let's just go. We're going to go. We're going to rent a car and go. And it was the most beautiful drive, one of the most beautiful drives I ever had, where the scenery, the mountains, and it was just really beautiful. It was very, very beautiful. And
we went to Havenhurst.
We went to Havenhurst after that, right? We went to Havenhurst, and I seen so many pictures of that, the place, the gates, the streets. To actually be there, that was just, to me, that was one of the highlights of our trip, and one of the highlights of my life, just being in the actual place where the brothers and Michael always lived.
And we went to the Michael Jackson 1 show, and then we also went to the celebration, the Diamond Celebration.
Of Life.
Both times we cleaned out the 1 store, but that'll be another video. So I have been doing the Celebration of Life parties after Michael passed away, just as a way to honor him every year. And you know how little my row house was. My house was really, really narrow, and I would have like 60 people crammed in there. It got to the point where I had to also use my neighbor's backyard. So once I started dating Ryan, I said, well, how would you feel if we moved the party to your house so that we can have a pool party? I think it would kind of get more people from different areas. And you agreed. So tell us how you felt. Now it's been here for 3 years in a row, with the last one being our wedding. How did you feel in the beginning with me bringing, I think that first year we had 82 people coming into your home, strangers, looking at your stuff, playing your games, swimming in your pool, with me being the social butterfly, you being more reserved? How was that first experience?
It was a little, I don't want to say like I didn't want to do it. It was a little different for me because I'm more of a private person, and I wanted to share, what I was blessed with, and I just wanted to really make Vernay happy because, I know that's her world, sharing her joy of Michael with her friends and the fans. So that's what kind of made me do it, but I was still a little nervous about the people coming in, strangers, and not just people that you don't know, the people that they bring as friends.
Right.
And I put a lot of cameras in the house. I put more cameras in the house.
A lot of cameras.
And but the people who came, they came with the spirit of Michael, and they were very respectful, and it turned out to be a great evening. I really enjoyed it, much more than I thought I would. With the traffic, but it was wonderful. I had a great time.
Yeah, me too. And just like he had his reservations, I did as well, because when I used to have him at my house, most of my more valuable things were always behind the glass. And because my house is so small at that point, you really couldn't get away with anything.
Right.
But this was going to be different for me as well, because we were letting people have free range of the house. So that means they can be in here playing a game while we're outside, eating or in the pool, and they can be in the other room. And it's so many things that weren't covered. So when he added the additional cameras, that gave me a peace of mind too, because like you said, it wasn't our friends that we were worried about. You just don't know the guests that people bring. And it took a lot to get used to, and now it's gotten bigger and bigger. Now last year it was a little bit less, more than we expected still
Because
in the 70s.
COVID.
Still 70 people came, COVID, pandemic, in the middle of August.
Right.
But it's really grown into something really beautiful that people look forward to. So I'm really looking forward, and I'm hoping we can do it again this year. So, as you know, you're married to someone who is, I don't even know if obsessed is a strong enough word, obsessed
Capital
with Michael Jackson.
Capital A, capital
live,
S.
breathe, eat. I can become defensive, emotional. You are living with a Michael Jackson fanatic. And I then took that love and encased it all in our wedding. So how did you feel when I said, let's combine the pool party and the wedding, have a Michael Jackson wedding, and have him be a part of this whole event, because he kind of brought us together? How did you feel about that?
Well, because of the pandemic, should we do it? We shouldn't do it. Is it safe? Like, how can we keep everybody safe and enjoy themselves? And we took all the precautions with the temperature scanners and
symptom checks.
We went above and beyond to try to make sure everybody was safe. And then once we did that, I was like, okay, let's go forward with it. And I thought that would be the greatest compliment to Michael and his brothers, to be married in a ceremony that would include them, because I felt like I was always in debt to them. Now, because of Michael bringing us together and his brothers, I feel in turn indebted to them. So that was just a token of my appreciation to do that. And I enjoyed it as well, because, of course, I love them just as much as you do.
Right. I feel the same way. I thought, I know some people was like, no, that needs to be separate. You and Ryan's thing need to be separate from your Michael world. But they have to understand that there would be no us if it wasn't for the Michael world. So I thought it was really important to capture and bring all that stuff together, and then make the reception the yearly pool party. It just all flowed really well. And I do thank everybody who came out despite the pandemic. And we did the 2-week check afterwards, and everybody was fine. I did another 2-week check afterwards. We really did a good job trying to keep people safe.
But I want to say this, because there was a lot of people who came and they were afraid because they saw the numbers of people, and they turned around. And then there was some people, because it was all new, that temperature was a little high,
and they got turned away at the door.
They got turned away at the door. So I really want to apologize to everyone that happened to, and we're gonna make it up to you once the pandemic is over. We're gonna have it again, or maybe on a bigger level.
Yeah, so what happened was when the girls first started, the temperature ladies, when they first started taking temperatures and people were waiting in the heat, when their temperature was taken, it was past the mark. So my mark was set. If you were over 99.5, you couldn't enter. So because people were standing in line in the heat, by the time their temperature was taken, then they didn't pass the test. And then once they got like situated and cooled down, they were fine. But the girls didn't realize that until, a couple moments in. And so we do apologize. I think it was only 1 or 2 people that got turned away, but there were some people that were kind of frightened with the crowd. But we thank you for your patience. It was a scary time, and we're just glad that everybody, came out. So tell me now, what is the best part you think about being married to someone who understands your passion and your joy? And when I say this as a joke, I mean, drug abuse is not funny, but we share the same crack habit. So there's no responsible one. So we could be like, oh, should we get this? It's only $100. And I'll say, well, I mean, we might not see it again. There's no voice of reason here to say, no, don't do it. But, it's what we love. But how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's almost like a part of heaven. Because when you got somebody who love what you love, and the conversation are endless, the music is endless, the times the Jacksons have given us is endless, our love will be endless. Because as long as we got that in common, we will always have something that will keep us united, keep that bond between us. As far as the memorabilia goes, we're responsible, we just like a kid in a candy store, when they say, go ahead, take what you want. We want to clean the shelves out, but we leave something for other people too.
No, we don't. Okay, so last but not least, what is in store for the O'Neills in the future as far as our Michael involvement, our Jackson's involvement? What are some things that we have coming up?
Well, we have our radio show with Rockin' Hot Radio.
Rockin' Hot Radio.
That's going to be hot and off the chart. You really got to check that out. We have maybe some more parties in store for the fans to show our love and appreciation. We got something really huge in the working. It's really part of our big dreams, and we don't disclose that at this moment, but we're working on some really big things to show our love and appreciation for the family, the Jackson family.
And just to update you, because our debut on Rockin' Hot Radio was supposed to happen February 1st. Then there was an ice storm and we couldn't get to what we needed to get. And then there was some technical issues with that website. So right now it's out of our hands. We're waiting for that website to fix their glitches. And in the meantime, Ryan and I are working on kind of getting some shows lined up so that when they are ready, we're ready too. So I know that I stopped talking about it on Facebook and social media because we kind of had to pause, but it is still in the works.
And not only that, it gave us time to really go through all of the brothers' catalogs to pull out the best music to bring to the fans.
Yes.
That we can give them the highest level of music that the brothers produce, and to just make sure every week we bring a show with the level of intensity that the brothers would appreciate and be glad, that we did it.
And we're still new at this. We're still new at learning how to work the software. We're new at being radio hosts. So we're hoping that, even if the first 2 shows are a little shady, which we think we're doing well.
First show hot.
We think we're doing good.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, hopefully you'll see us become more comfortable in our new roles and our positions, and it's something that we can hold on to and do together for a really long time. While I have your attention, I want to shout out my husband for these beautiful roses and this flowers. And this gorgeous Vera Wang vase came from Fred Rossi for our wedding. It has our name and our wedding date. I know you can't see that on the camera, but I just wanted to take a moment to shout out all this and say happy Valentine's Day. And the next video that we have coming up, I believe, I have to look at my schedule, but I believe it's about tour books and special programs. So when that video is up, I'll let you know. And also I want to thank everybody who reached out to us about MJ, because that's still a sensitive subject for me. That literally just happened Thursday. If you're new to our channel and you don't know who MJ is, he's a kitty cat that I had for almost 9 years, and he just got hit by a car on Thursday, and I have been devastated and heartbroken, and I have gotten so much support from you guys on Facebook, and I just really appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, honey, before we wrap it up?
No, I want everybody to know that I love this woman. We love the Jacksons, and we're going to continue to bring you the best product we could best possibly bring you. And knowing that I'm a private person, I will get more comfortable as time goes on in front of these cameras.
I'm going to keep trying to bring them on. So I know you get sick of seeing me all the time. But thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you for the next video. And enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.